with yours and be an extension of yours. In other words, again, that's going to give you more chances to do presentations together. It's going to give you more chance to publish together in the end also, if that lines up. So it's equally benefiting you and in your progress towards promotion tenure if those efforts are also leading to publications and presentations. Also, a lot of these individuals here with ed leadership are handling an inordinately large number of dissertation students at the same time. So I think, again, for survival, we've got to come up with mechanisms where we may form little research groups of students who are researching along the same line of research. And they're taking different pieces of that so that those can be advised in a group rather than every one of those singly. That would help as well. Yeah. Those are the major things I wanted to make sure that I mentioned to you. I'm hoping that for ed leadership, some of our new faculty that we're just hiring can help us get a little bit better organized in that way to do that kind of cohort group approach to these dissertations.
A couple of things that Jim said keyed into me. One semester I had a person finishing a dissertation and two others finishing master's degrees at the same time with theses. I don't know how you do that. I just don't know. Another thing that I chose when I was at Houston and we had a doctoral program, my wife didn't like this. I chose not to work with a part-time doctoral student. She said, well, how come you do that, Jim? Here's a student who wants to, they're employed someplace and they want to do this part-time. I said, because I want them in my pocket. I want them to ride in the car with me. I want them to work on projects with me. And if you're doing that part-time, I don't think I can put my life into you and your life into me well enough for that to work out. So I chose not to take part-time doctoral students. That wouldn't be an option for many people, right? And having this large number.
Right.
Whoa,
and most of those, again, are part-time, obviously.
That'd be very difficult.
But that's why some don't make progress. Obviously, they're so involved with their own work in the school district and their own personal life that doing that last necessary bit of effort put into the dissertation is hard for them. Because it's not like an organized course where there are meetings every week that they have to keep up. You know, it's up to them to schedule it and keep their time management such that they can make progress.
And I think how the leadership team has incorporated the first 3 chapters into courses is definitely helping to keep, because they're all practitioners, right? These are superintendents, principals, assistant superintendents, so, and they have families. But I think just by doing that, I think that's going to help very quickly. I think we'll see the benefits of that very quickly.
It is, and I've also noticed with ed leadership, their qualifying exam is basically a draft of the first 3 chapters. And I really like it in that committee gets preliminary look at it before the proposal stage, and you can hammer out a lot of the problems early. You get another shot at fixing anything that's really off before it gets to even the proposal stage.
In the counseling program, we have a research and counseling course. It's essentially a dissertation preparation course. So all the students end up, the product from the class is a proposal that I would say probably it becomes their actual dissertation proposal maybe 2/3 of the time. Sometimes it's not, but they've gone through the process, which is the important thing.
You know, another thing I found helpful, I mentioned that those stems for problem statements and research questions. I also have a graphic organizer that I have my students complete on their study. This graphic that shows, the participants, the treatment, if any, the instruments used, and it helps visualize the whole study. And I'd be glad to share that.
Can we get copies of all your documents?
Yes.
That'd be great.
The
And
key
if
thing-
those outside, just email me and I'll be glad to send you copies of that.
The key thing I told my students is, whether they're masters or doctorals, the first proposal meeting you go to and the first defense meeting better not be yours. Go to see as many as you possibly can. See what goes on, what kinds of questions are in. Right? So attend all those meetings.
So do you have any other questions or, yeah?
I have one. So some students are obviously, yeah, for me at least, easy to mentor because the work is pretty good to begin with. It's just a matter of streamlining, refining things. But then there are others with so many deficiencies in so many different levels that I don't know what to do. For example, should I spend 3 or 4 hours that I don't have with a student going through APA style
Yeah.
or refining language issues?
Right.
Because English may not be the first language, or in some cases it is the first language, but there's still language issues.
Right.
Should I spend hours that I don't have in my week refining those language issues?
Yes.
Or should I just say, go to the writing center, find yourself an editor, give this to a peer and give it to me when it is much better than it is now. So I hesitate toward doing that, thinking, oh, if I do that, I won't be a good mentor, a good advisor, poor student, and blah, blah. But on the other hand, I have to also protect myself in terms of the time that I have available throughout the week, which is not a whole lot.
Right.
So what is your advice in those cases with students who are more needy?
I wouldn't hesitate if it's taking an inordinate amount of your time to do that kind of mechanical editing, to require that student to get an editor.
Right.
Yeah.
Including
This is-
with the APA issues, for example.
Yes, because
Yes.
most of those will know that. Those who are professionally edit dissertations all the time can help with that as well.
This is where that conversation about strengths and challenges is helpful, because then even before they start writing, they acknowledge that they're maybe not a great writer, or that they are uncertain about the statistical methodology. So if they're not a good writer, I'll refer them to the writing center to get an editor. I think recently we discovered that there's a professional writing course in the English department that we have somebody, one of our doctoral students in it, I believe, this semester. And so we don't know yet whether it's really going to be helpful. But I might even require somebody who's really a very poor writer to go back and do some remediation. And that might happen even before quals, because if they're going to have trouble passing quals, they may need to do that. But I've got a student right now who has a professional editor and needed it. And I often refer people to CIRA, for the statistical advice. Now, I personally do a lot of editing, but the way that I protect myself is that I'll read through the first section of what they send me, which is usually Appendix A, and the extended literature review. And I'll identify APA errors, but I'll do it the first time I see it. And then I have this downward arrow symbol, which means correct this type of error throughout your entire document.
Okay.
And then I'll just do a section, and then I'll turn it back to them and say, make all those corrections, and then send it back to me.
Okay.
So I'm doing it, but in a way that really protects me from being overwhelmed.
Yeah, your time's important.
Yeah.
They can eat your life up over there. And I assume everybody uses some type of bibliographical software, either EndNote or Reference Manager. If you don't, do it. It's wonderful. Yes.
Could y'all talk a little bit about what you think the role of the committee members might be versus the chair of that dissertation?
Well, for me, the committee members often bring strengths that are challenges to me. And so they may have content expertise or statistical expertise or other research expertise that I don't have. And so I rely on them, and the students work with them as appropriate. The way that I function is that in the process of drafting the proposal, to the extent that the student needs to confer with other faculty members, they go ahead and do that. But I am the main editor of the proposal. And so eventually, the student and I are going back and forth with the proposal until we're both satisfied with it. And then I invite them to send it to their committee members for their review and approval to proceed with the proposal. So I don't know if that answered your question.
I think though there are times, I draw in certain committee members early as I'm looking at early drafts sometimes, if I know they have an area of expertise that I am not as good in, so I need another set of eyes to look at a certain part. If there, especially, I'm not a qualitative person.